Let's talk about regulation for just a moment here, because we know we're having some delays in certain categories such as NOx, ballast water treatment. We'll talk about that a little more in the next panel. But what that does, it creates uncertainty for all of you. And also, as we talked about in the beginning, for the good guys who have made these changes, they can be at a competitive disadvantage. You know, should ship owners not rely on the regulators in terms of making their decisions, but act independently? And do you think more will in the coming years?
I think, I think it will be very dangerous for ship owners to just go out and act independently. As I said before, the margins are so slim that if you go out on a leap and you don't have the market and, and the regulators and sort of the general situation with you, you do risk losing a lot of money. So I think we have to work with the regulators. We believe strongly in IMO and the regulatory bodies. I think it was said earlier in the week that it is detrimental when regulation implementation dates are changed, and we mean that, but there can also be good reason for it. But we need to have this level playing field. It needs to be equal for others, and we have to have some predictability and some visibility on new regulation.
Elizabeth, you wanted to add something, and Sturla.
Yeah, because I tend to absolutely we need to make regulations that are global, and we have a tradition in the industry to work closely with the IMO, with our governments, with the officials, in order to develop regulations and rules that are really doing what it's supposed to do. But I think that also the industry in itself needs to take initiatives. Take, for example, the challenge of corruption in many ports. That's a huge challenge, and we need to address it. So together with 25 other ship-owning companies, we have established something called the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network. And also the Norwegian Shipowners Association is associated member. Because we see that we need to be part of the solution, and we need to develop the good stories, and of course Maersk is also part of this network. And we find that working together as an industry, the ship-owning companies, there's a lot of energy in developing our industry in a good way. So I think the regulations and the new initiatives from the industry itself has to go hand in hand.
Sturla, you wanted to add something here.
Yeah, I just want to supplement Elizabeth and encourage people to visit the Macken stand outside. Now, global issues, they need global solutions, and IMO is vital in providing a regulatory framework for this industry. At the same time, I'm convinced that in order to conduct and develop sustainable business, you need to be on the right side of history. And we know that the environmental challenges facing us will be with us for generations, and the industry itself has a responsibility. And we believe that pushing, complying, of course, with regulatory standards, but also being an active partner in pushing higher standards is a recipe for the future, because then sort of what is good for environment goes hand in hand with what is good for quality operators, which we want to promote.
Klaus and Kristen. Yeah.
Just briefly, I mean, I think the LNG initiatives in Norway is a good example. We went in Los Angeles and other big ports and did low sulfur consumption in the ports 7 years before the ECA becomes real in 2015. That's another good story. We need to make the good stories, and we need to create good visibility on the shipping industry.
To be able also to make the good stories, we need to have a wake-up call when it comes to anti-money laundering, compliance, sanctions, and regulations. Because I think some companies have been hit hard and have had a hard wake-up call, but the industry in general, as to all global industry, has not learned the hard lesson what this means. The banking industry has started to do it, and I would say for my own bank, it's one of the areas that really is growing. It's how to handle this on a global basis. And it hits the companies, and it hits them much harder.
Let me ask, sorry, Elizabeth, just if you want to jump in very quickly.
Yeah, because I wanted to add to that the Ernst & Young, they do their biannual, where they ask all the CEOs of the 500 biggest companies in the world, or what is your highest risk in your company? And this year, it was on the top of their list was to be in compliance. because it's so complicated just to be in compliance. So I totally agree with the comment of
Yeah.